Hello, I am Shelton Beneby, Executive Director for Connecting the Generations International. This is the first in a series of blogs in which I will focus on preparing our children and youth to inherit the future. There's an urgent call to church leaders, policymakers, parents, to make the care, education, and training of our children a priority. Make no mistake, our children grow and develop with the assistance of caring parents, grandparents, mentors, Sunday school teachers, and the list goes on. We need a village to raise our children. In my book, Shape the Future Now, I stress that children are a gift from God and a promise of hope for every generation. The nurture of our children, the first 15 years of their life, is key to getting the citizens the nation desire and the harvest the church seeks. On today's program, I wish to welcome Blossom Phillips, our children's ministry advisor for Connecting the Generations International. Blossom brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to children ministry, having served as a teacher worldwide. Her experience in Canada, in the United States of America, in Latin America, and most recently in South Asia. She has worked with children, teaching them all of her life. And so we are delighted to have her as our first guest to launch this exciting program as we seek to build a brighter future for our children. And so, Blossom, out of your experience, please take a moment to share why children are so important. And having worked with children around the world, what are some of the similarities and differences that you see in our children?
Well, thank you, Pastor Beneby, for such an introduction. I found that children around the world are very similar in their developmental stages, in the stages they go through to develop. Their physical, emotional, physical development are very similar. But one thing I have found is that their spiritual development is lacking. We tend to leave that out, and I'm not sure I understand why. But I do know that it is essential that they develop in this area, because the spiritual side actually is teaching them about God, and we start very early, who God is and how He loves them. I find that children need this assurance, because within each one of us we have a vacuum, a spiritual vacuum that needs to be filled with God's love and the knowledge of God.
That's so important, laying the foundation that we looked to God who created. Because His word said to train up a child in the way that they should go. And so why do you feel that training is so important for parents in the rearing and the nurturing of their children?
I believe this is important because it's not something that just happens. It has to be taught. And as we realize that not only the Bible emphasizes that we should raise children in the way they should go, we are also taught that parents need to impress upon children the importance of God's word, or the importance of the commands that God has laid out for them. And we as parents have to develop that within the children, because it doesn't happen on its own. It's a filling of a spot within children that will grow and be passed on, as you say, to the next generation.
And so why this first 15 years is so important, that parents, not only parents, but leaders, teachers, everyone understand that there's a period, and I believe sometimes we call it the rite of passage. But
Yes.
why is this first 15 years so critical in terms of the development of our children?
I think it's important because, number one, there are other influences that are ready to come in if we don't take the time to encourage and to develop our children, that spiritual side of them that is so vulnerable. Children have to be aware that there are two sides, there's right and there's wrong. And we as parents must not neglect that time, the first 15 years, to set that standard for our children. Then they're better able to handle choices and choose wisely when it comes along.
Well, I think that is truly key, because our children develop at different stages. And having worked myself with young people basically all my life, the whole scientific approach in terms of what kinds of programs and services we provide for these children, we must have an understanding of our children. And I believe that is one of the big challenge for parents, having children and truly understanding that they are different.
Exactly. I agree with you very much. So that we, as teachers, trainers, and you say policymakers, must be aware of these stages that the children go through. And it is not making laws or rules for them. We must love them. We must do all that we do in love, and expressing love and showing them that this is how it's done, but we do it in a loving way.
Blossom, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and share um, the importance of nurturing and the training of our children. Our future is really going to be secure, how we pour the kind of love into our children, the kind of care, and to make sure that we do all that we can as parents to train them in the way that they should go, so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. Stay tuned. We'll be back next month with an exciting conversation on parent-child